Welcome back to Cresta vs Sick Week 2023, proudly supported by Valvoline, Golby's Parts and Raceworks. This time we're going to do a little bit of a different video series. There's going to be a lot of running commentary over the footage. There's going to be sections of me talking in and out of it, and I'll actually probably give you more of an in-depth understanding or view of what actually happened for our 6-week journey, the trials and tribulations we went through, and yeah, all of the whole story rather than just all the coverage of the physical racing. Massive thank you also to 1320 Video and to Sick the Mag and Tom Bailey. Those guys have actually sent us or allowed us to use a ton of extra footage. So yeah, we want to acknowledge and thank those guys for allowing us to use that footage. We're going to be at Circle D first. We're preparing the cars and we haven't yet left Houston. So let's check it out. This is Pete's workhorse, and always like giving it to Pete when I can. So we're going to actually put the fuel straight into Pete's ute so he can keep trucking around. But yeah, we're going to drain it out of both cars, and whatever's left we'll keep for hitting the road. But yeah, we're going to swap both cars over to E85 now so that we've got a fresh fuel system by the time we're ready to race. And hopefully the hose is long enough. While we were working on the Mustang, we also removed the rocker cover. We wanted to check the mechanical tensioner for the timing chain to make sure that the clearances were correct. Turns out they were spot on. We've got the ignition system all sorted out, wired up. It runs really well. Massive thanks to Dave for the ignition harness that he knocked up for us. We've also got the rocker cover back on. The timing chain tensioner was actually within spec, so it's just a noisy one. Every now and then we get a noisy one, so it is what it is. But it's all back together, all runs well. Paggers has actually come and visited us, so he's getting these Raceworks harnesses in while we're tinkering away. Pretty much the only thing I've got left to do now is change the CO2 solenoid under the dash. Then I'm going to play around with the Cresta. Then we're going to pretty much pack up and get on the road. Another new addition this year is the Haltech 5x3 keypad. One of the functions I really like particularly is this. You can literally just turn the fuel pump on, and now we're pumping the tank out. You can actually activate all 3 pumps if you need and pump it out even quicker. So now the pump's running out, no worries. The next task is changing the seat cover over. We're actually going to dive into the interior and do a couple of things today. We're going to add some interior lights. We're potentially going to add some sun visors, and I'm actually going to remove this quick release steering wheel boss kit because I don't love the spacing of it, and it's also a bit loose. So yeah, it's not loose as in the bolts are loose, it's loose as in the physical construction of it. The tolerances aren't great in it. So it was a last minute addition before I shipped the car, and I just don't have a lot of confidence in it. So I'm going to flick that and just go back to the original steering wheel setup because I don't actually need a quick release. It was just a bit of a novelty. So yeah, that's going to go, and we're going to swap the seat cover over and make the whole interior match. Oh, I think that ties the interior together heaps nicer. As I've already mentioned a few times in a few previous videos, this was actually fabric robbed from another back seat. So it's not a reproduction or an aftermarket fabric, it's literally exactly the same. It has faded slightly different to the rest of the interior, but I don't think that's a particularly big issue because the interior in this thing isn't immaculate anyway. But yeah, now we're going to move on to sun visors and interior lighting. We've got our interior lights and our sun visors all installed. We kind of got a little bit carried away and just got the whole job done before actually showing you guys. We did revise, however, the interior light. We've just used LED strip because unfortunately the other 3D printed interior lights that I bought that mounted to the cage aren't dimmable, and the settings in the PD16 currently mean that it's obviously step voltage and they don't like less than about 12 volts. So yeah, they don't actually work currently. So I've made the lumen and everything, and they will get fitted at some stage, and we'll take the ribbon LED out. But yeah, for now we'll just run with that. We probably hopefully we won't be driving at night a whole lot in this car anyway. But yeah, it's nice to have it and be prepared. And then worst case, if we're doing filming or working on the car at night, we got plenty of light to sort of throw around the interior. So yeah, it'll be heaps better going forward. Well, we're all loaded up. I just want to say a massive thanks again to the guys at Circle D, Pete, Chris, and all the crew here. They've gone above and beyond for us, acquiring parts, helping us out with U-hauls, storing the vehicles, accepting them before we even got into the country the first time. So yeah, these guys have gone above and beyond. Highly recommend if you want to have a converter built by these guys. Their customer service is fantastic. The equipment behind me is also fantastic. Like just going through that shop, it's yeah, it's always crazy just to see the scope of it. But we're going to hit the road. We're going to hope to do 400 or 500 miles, say, and get towards Florida. This is the I-10, and we've been on this bridge for about 5 minutes at least. I think we're in Louisiana at the moment, and the whole interstate is literally built in bayou or swampland, and yeah, this bridge just goes forever. Pretty impressive engineering feat. You probably won't be able to actually get a full grasp of this construction on the video, but it's just amazing to actually be driving on this thing for so long and be 5 meters above the water, and just the engineering construction in this thing is just amazing. So pretty cool to see this sort of thing when you get to road trip around a country you've never been into. And yeah, there's nothing that I know anything like this in Australia, so pretty cool to check it out. Well, after a long day of driving, we've made it here to Orlando in Florida. We were actually here 2 days earlier than we'd originally planned for a couple of reasons. Benny basically just wanted to get on the road, and we thought, why not? We can spend a day here mucking around, doing stuff with the cars. We can get Maddie remote without any pressure. There's already a couple of other teams turned up. There's a couple of guys over there. They've actually got a VF Commodore, lol, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, we're pretty much going to pack it up for tonight, and tomorrow morning we're going to start playing cars. This is primarily the tech inspection day, so everyone brings their cars in. They process about 400 cars on the day, and full props to the guys in the tech line. They processed tons of cars nice and early, so the whole field was actually processed before 1 p.m. That meant that everyone could get into the lanes and start racing. So from this point on now in the episode, you're going to see heaps of racing on track, including both the Cresta and the Mustang doing some passes. Interesting to note though that the times from today mean nothing. Both myself and the Mustang go too fast for our tech. I've covered this 100 times, but I'll still mention it again. The Cresta and the Mustang can only run 8.5 in the US. So yeah, from this point on in the episode, we're going to dive into some more racing.
There's just something about the Mara that sounds so good. $890 for the Malibu, $841 for Ben. Nice first pass. For those of you that don't know the Mara inline 6 motor that they got in Australia, we did get them over here. This is Australia driving this car, and he wanted a Mara in it, so this box body right here. Sounds like a throw to your 2J, honestly. That'll get it all the way down. 1234, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So the clip that we've all just watched together is the Mustang going down the track. It sounds like Ben's actually pedaling it. What's actually happening is we've set the boost cut lower than the boost or the target boost. So the ECU is cutting it at 30 PSI, even though we're targeting 36. So that's why you're getting that on-off kind of almost surging sound. That was purely a valet mode that we kind of forgot about, being that we were supposed to run these cars much earlier than this trip. There was a few things that fail-safes or safety modes that we put into these cars for shipping that we all forgot about. And yeah, it actually caught us out to the point where we didn't know what was going on with this until Maddie actually reviewed the data later. We've got across that now, so we're all pretty well sorted. I think we've got a good game plan for both cars tomorrow, so we're gonna head back to the track nice and early. We do have a driver's briefing at 8 o'clock in the morning, so we can't do any passes super early. But yeah, as soon as we've got that driver's briefing sorted, we can ship the U-Haul truck out of the way, and then we can line up and hopefully get a pass in nice and early. Hopefully the lanes are processed a fair bit quicker than today, because it was a pretty tedious exercise to try and get a couple of passes down on both the cars. So yeah, fingers crossed that it flows a bit better tomorrow and we can get a good pass early and get on the road. Well, this is it, day one of Sick Week. We're back here at Orlando Speed World. We've set up, we've pitted, we've got all the cars ready. Everyone else is starting to get set up. We've got Doug Hook behind us with Pumpkin Spice. We've got Cletus and all his sideshow going on in the background. So we'll be second up in the lanes this morning. They've got the radial guy, the slick guys first and us radial guys. So yeah, hopefully we can get on the track pretty early and fingers crossed one pass today and we'll get on the track, get on the road nice and early. This is the first time I'm actually watching some of this edit as well, and it's pretty funny to actually see, first and foremost, the green car front of screen. From memory, it's a Talon. I think it may also be a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Please excuse me if I'm wrong. That car actually went on to beat me first overall in our class. Very impressive car. Interestingly enough, also the class we were in, Sick Freaks, first, second, and third were all Haltech powered cars. So I think that's pretty cool to see that. Some of the more kind of unique or odd builds per se were all Haltech powered, and I think that's probably testament to the fact that you can put them in anything. It's pretty cool. Also, the car behind the DSM Eagle thing is Steve Morris's Boostmaster Buick, which obviously has an SMX engine in it. This thing is ridiculous. It's a full steel body car, I believe, minus the front clip. Interestingly, when you look at Steve driving that thing, he's literally in the rear doors. So the driver position's set way far back. It's basically a Pro Mod chassis with a Buick body draped over the top of it. And I don't mean that disrespectfully at all, because I think it's the epitome of drag and drive cars. This thing looks like a normal mum and pop wagon, and the thing runs sixes. So yeah, pretty cool actually to watch both of these cars run together.
And Morris doesn't find the hook he wants, but then he gets back after it, and he will coast. Tony rings up an 895 at 151, and Morris will coast to a 955 at 106. We're ready. Both of them hooked up good, and Cletus is on a heater. Top end, right-hand side, 674 at 214 miles an hour for Mullet, and a 528 at 130 for Rick Steinke if hunk and parts fall off. So Steinke staying very consistent to what he ran yesterday, 528 at 1 CC ride. And this thing almost took the Christmas tree out yesterday. Look at him go, wheels up again, and bounce it again, and one more time. Holy cow, are you kidding me? That Volkswagen just hanging on for dear life. Meanwhile, Jesse fogging everybody out. 10 flat at 130. Inside out of PFI speed, this is Brett Levystad. This is his first time behind the wheel. The guy who has been the co-pilot and best friend of Cletus McFarland on many Rocky Mountain Race Weeks out here. His first time behind the wheel of the Civic. 1045 at 104 on a lifting pass. But how about Nimchek? 879 at 154. I believe that's his best pass by over 0.2 of a second. All right, now sounding good. Off the starting line, 104, 60 foot. Tom moving around, and we'll lay it down to the 1,000 foot and still go 624 at 188 miles an hour with the shoots out at the 1,000 foot mark. Are you kidding me? And the Honda getting after it, 196 to the 60 foot. And 93 miles an hour in the 8th mile. 1226 at 114 miles an hour for the little Honda. We'll load up some boost. They carry the front end out. Hang on to it, Steve. This one also looking good. Top end says 674 at 213 miles an hour. Talk about a shot at the 9th inning with the bases loaded. 877 at 151 for the big pickup truck. The Toyota Cressida, the right-hand driver having some trouble. And we'll coast across at a 15-second pass.
Yeah, in that last pass, we were having issues with ignition in the Cresta, having ignition breakdown particularly. I'm not exactly sure what led to that issue. However, I think it was probably a combination of sitting on the trans brake a little bit too long, bumping in. After that particular pass, I basically whipped around, put a set of plugs in it, gapped them down from 0.5 to 0.4. Factory, the plugs we run come gap to 0.5. So yeah, closing that gap down a little bit, I think pretty much helped throughout the week. From that point on, we ran 0.4 gap in both the Cresta and the Mustang. And yeah, they seem to be much happier from then on.
That's Timothy Blythe. He ran this car last year. It's a 1964 model Triumph Spitfire. And this thing ran in the 11s, and he has put a 25-1 certification cage in this car to make it legal all the way down to 6.0. He did it in-house. He's on a good lick right here. 862 at 158 for him, and 849 at 165 for Paglianone, and I don't think that's actually him, though. We may have a number that's off in the system. Now is a good time to get to the fence line or to the grandstands. We're going to run some of the fast cars, and we're going to start out with a couple of complete oddballs here. How about the 6-cylinder Mustang? Yeah, that sounds a little weird with the big burnout coming out of the Fox Mustang, and you go, that doesn't sound correct. Right-hand side in the street race category is Ben Paglianone, the 93 model Mustang with the 6-cylinder underneath the hood. So Rick is ready. He's going to bump it in, and we're ready. Look at the big wheel stand for the Chevelle as he hammers down on the left side of the racetrack, and here comes the Mustang with the bear underneath the hood in pursuit. 907, 154 miles an hour for Rick in the diesel Chevelle, and a 9 flat at 169 for the Barra-powered Mustang. This is Ben Neal, 1987 model Cressida, Barra-powered plant. It's in the 6-cylinder category. And he will line up against that really nice 1969 model Firebird. That is Richard Belmont. So Belmont over on the right side. Neal trying to get it over on the stage. And the Firebird towed the front end as he comes off and makes it about 200 feet, and then a nose dives. He's back after it again. The Toyota's going to get a screwed up time, though, because he just pushed right through the beams. 981 at 159, 952 at 145. Not what either one of them wanted because they weren't clean passes.
Well, not the day I wanted, but 9.8, I'll take that considering what we were up against before. It's pretty late. It's already after 5 o'clock, so we're going to pack up here and get on the road. We're not going to be on the road till at least after 6, I reckon. So, yeah, we're going to be pushing it uphill today, but we'll turn around and hopefully have better luck tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how much I've touched on this before, but a lot of the drag and drive events now are making it so that anything on your reaction time over 1 second is actually added to your total time. It's a little bit different to the system we're used to running. So now, obviously we've got that added complication of actually bumping in. So what you saw in that previous shot there, basically what happened was we had too much bump set in the ECU. So one bump was not enough to get the second bulb on, and then 2 bumps basically put me through the front beam, and the time was 9.8, but I sat on the line. The 60-foot time itself was 2.4 seconds, and anyone who's kind of familiar with the data of the Cresta, the 60-foot time is typically between 1.1 and 1.3. So we lost a whole second sitting on the line there after I'd broken through the beam. What I should have done as soon as I red lit was just went, but I was at this point I was kind of suffering heat exhaustion, dehydration, and also just sheer frustration. Like, there's a clip that you'll never see that I'm belting the inside of the car after that run. But yeah, it was pretty much just, that day killed me. We totally weren't prepared for the heat and the humidity of Florida. We really thought that going in winter or springtime, right on that kind of crossover, that the temperature was going to be pretty mild and it'd be a much more comfortable kind of event. We were wrong. We were so wrong. And then after this pass, it took us a solid hour and a half to pack up. By the time we actually left the track, we left in total darkness. So it was just night. There was really not much to shoot. So we're about to kick it off day 2 at Bradenton. So let's keep on trucking.
Now, but he's going to go 11:28, and I can't see the mile an hour. .690, 206, 667. Looks like they got that car doing what it should now. get there across the finish line. 9:29, 146 miles an hour. Down the track, he's going to run an 870 at 142.
So here's the situation. It's not good. We've got the box coming out of the Mustang at the moment. Unfortunately, we had a flex plate bolt back out and it's self-clearance, the shim between the transmission and the block. It's also damaged the flex plate in a major way. Luckily, Ben has already taken a light, so we're not out. We're definitely working for it this year. Shout out to Harry, now we know how you do it.
Yes, but we slept from 1 o'clock this morning till now. The underpass.
But yeah, this is definitely not how we normally roll, but we're going to fight for it and keep what we can do. I guess the hardest thing to kind of understand what's going on here is the timeline, or what time it is during the day. So at the point where we're pulling the transmission out, it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I've just done my second pass, which was an 8.6 or an 8.7 from memory.
Neil in the Barrett Power Toyota on his way. To the top end they go. 9:29 and 144. The Toyota goes 8:79 and 143.
What we don't actually show is by the time we're on the road, it's dark again. We had tons of people helping us out at the track. Also thanks to Jacob, he was there helping us both film it and also with tools and all sorts of random stuff. Lent us the best drill bits I've ever used. Actually, we had to drill the dowel holes in the flex plate. So Dad literally nailed that thing. Couldn't have got it any better. Considering we were literally drilling that with a hand drill on the side of the racetrack, the holes were perfect. So yeah, massive thanks to Dad for that. The one thing I do want to touch on, in that clip you just saw I said take a light. Luckily Ben has already taken a light, so we're not out. So basically what that means is if you break the beam under the vehicle's own power, but you can't complete a pass, you're still in the event, you're not disqualified, but you are given a 20-second time slip with 50 mile an hour. So it's pretty much going to kill your average ET for the week. However, we're still in the race and we are going to finish it. That's the worst case scenario, is you can at least take a light and repair the car, which is exactly what we did. So yeah, I think by the end of the week, the average for Ben's car was about a 1080 or an 11.0 or something like that. We've just made it to the checkpoint tonight. There's only one checkpoint because the route is so long tonight. We're actually not going to go the full way tonight. We've got accommodation about half an hour further north from here. So we're going to push ahead to that and try and get a bit of rest. And we've also found out that they're changing the run group order for tomorrow. So B radial it's going to be its own category tomorrow, and it's pretty much second last in the whole run order, which sucks. But hopefully that'll mean that we may be able to actually get 2 or 3 runs at it for both cars. So we'll see how we go. But we're just waiting on the Mustang to come in. We actually got separated, so they're a couple of minutes away. Once they come in and get back on the road, and hopefully have a decent night's sleep before we get back on the road again to the track in the morning. So by this point, we're both, when I say both, I mean my dad and I are both really tired. We've just got into NPD, which was the checkpoint for the night. And yeah, we've still got another sort of half an hour drive after this point. But yeah, we're pretty cooked and yeah, need to get some rest. This is where we're actually going to wrap this one up, guys. So yeah, really appreciate everyone watching the channel, watching this as well. This is kind of one of our bigger video series for the year. So yeah, hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Something a little bit different with kind of the director's commentary, for want of a better term. Massive thanks also to Valvoline, Golby's Parts and Raceworks for supporting this particular series. We literally wouldn't have been able to get to the US without the support of those guys. So yeah, appreciate their ongoing support. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.